Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 State of the City, State of the County address. We're delighted to have you here today as we gather to hear a reflection of our community, accomplishments, discuss their challenges, and share their vision for the future. I am Eric Gardner, Chair of the Chamber this year, and it's my honor to open today's event. This annual address provides us with an opportunity to come together as residents, business leaders, public officials, and community partners to celebrate our successes and plan collaboratively for the progress and prosperity of our beloved city. Today, we will hear from a few of our service organizations, as well as Mayor Staton and Judge Snyder, who will provide an insightful overview of the current state, key initiatives, and strategic priorities. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to turn it over to Doug Lawson, a fellow board member and chair of our Government Affairs Committee, to handle the MC events for today.
All right, Eric, thank you very much. Give Eric a round of applause. He served as our head chamber boss this year and has done a great job. All right, well, I've got it on paper, I've got it on my phone, I've got it in memory. We're going to see which one works, but we're going to say some thank yous, and we have to start that off with our sponsors. So, Chase Fulcher, Best Insured, presenting sponsor. Let's make sure we say, Chase, thank you to you and your team for being here and for leading the way on this one. Our corporate sponsors are Century Aluminum, Hafer Design. If you haven't eaten your Hafer wafer, make sure you do that. It is the best thing ever. That's why we're here. Our friends at River Valley Behavioral Health, thank you for your support. And our friends at Regal Inc., please give them a round of applause to be our corporate sponsors. All right. So every year we plan this. I'm fortunate to lead the Chamber's Government Affairs Committee, and I have a group of folks that I'm able to work with on a monthly basis, and we help plan this. If you're on the Government Affairs Committee and you're in the room, would you please stand and be recognized? There you go. There's the best. Thank you all very, very much. And our board does work extremely hard each and every day and month to make sure that we're bringing the community's best interests to the chamber. So if you're on our chamber board, would you please stand and be recognized at this time? Now, those corporate sponsors and the chamber board are all listed outside. Please make sure you know who those folks are. I just saved us about 20 minutes of introduction, so it's all about good MC management, right? All right. Well, this morning we have some officials with us, so I'm going to try and catch a few, the list of folks who are elected officials or city and county royalty. How about that? So Buzzy Newman, Mayor Brad Staton, Commissioner Pruitt, Commissioner Thomas, Donna Madden, Holly Blanford, and Megan McElfresh. If you would please stand and be recognized. Thank you all so much for your work. And I just forgot my neighbor, Dawn Kelsey. I'm so sorry about that. Dawn, thank you for being with us in the city. We appreciate that. Elected official Andrew Powell, I think, is in the room, our property value administrator and neighbors. Good to see you, sir. All right, Judge Snyder, you're with us, and he brought, I said royalty, I really meant your wife when I was talking about royalty. So, Kelly, good to see you. Renisa Abner, our county clerk, thank you very much for your work and being with us. We're going to recognize Steve Gold. Thank you for your work at the county attorney's office. Our magistrates, Bill Starks, Butch Putman, Taylor Tompkins, and Tim Southard. Thank you all so much. If you're here, please stand and be recognized from the county. All right. It's great to see who is behind the scenes of everything that we're going to talk about today, and we appreciate all the hard work for city, county employees and the leadership. We thank you for what you do each and every day in our community and to make life better for each of us. But first, I'm glad everybody got their food. I hope you enjoyed the come in, eat, and then get started. That saved us some time, but we're going to pray for the food that we just ate. So Chase, you better be really good at this. Okay, Chase Fulcher is going to lead our invocation.
Thank you, Doug. Bow your heads. Dear wonderful, gracious God, first of all, thank you for these wonderful people in this room. Thank you for our chamber. We have one of the top chambers in the U.S., and we know Kentucky. And dear God, we want to thank you for the unity in our community, which we don't always see in our great nation, that our governments work together, the city and county works together, and the synergy of that is immeasurable. I've been here my whole life, born and raised here, and I've never seen people work together like they're working together. Everyone's pulling the same way. Everyone's pulling the rope together. And to have a community like ours where it is today says a lot about all our government leaders, our community, and the wonderful people in this room. Dear God, thanks for the great food we had today, and please bless it to the nourishment of our body. And dear God, give us health and wisdom, and our family health and wisdom. Amen.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. When you take a little quiet time with the Lord, you realize that you have not given all the thanks that you were supposed to. I have more people I'm supposed to thank. There were other sponsors that were listed as community sponsors. We sure can't leave anybody out because it makes this day special. A special thank you to ATA CPA Service. Thank you all for your help and investment in today's meal. Audubon Metals, thank you for your support. The Henderson County Riverport, thank you very much for what you do for our community every day. Our friends from Hempel, Henderson Municipal Power and Light, thank you for what you do. And our friends at Hercules Manufacturing, we can't leave them out. Thank you for all that you do. And last, and I'm a little biased, but Field Main Bank, thank you for attending today and for being a sponsor. So, all right, round of applause for our remaining sponsors. Thank you very much. All right. Well, our community would not be complete without chamber ambassadors. And so if you're an ambassador to the chamber, these are the people that get out and hit those ribbon cuttings and do the breakfast, lunches, dinners, and every event we've got. But chamber ambassadors are a great way for us to roll out the red carpets to our community. So if you're a chamber ambassador, please stand and be recognized at this time. Thank you so much. All right, and last but not least, our chamber staff, Clay Gillum, and your team, Donna, Ms. Crampy, everybody wave. Three of the most valuable people in Henderson County right there. Thank you very much for all that you do. All right. We've prayed about it. We thanked some people, and now we're going to talk about Civic. One of the things that is in the room this time is both Lions Clubs and our Rotary Club. And we give them a few minutes to kind of talk about what they're doing. And Daniel, I think there's a challenge so you can be the shortest. Is that right? Mary? Okay. But anyway, David Butler from our Breakfast Lions, Daniel Smith from our Noon Lions, and Mary Steely from the Rotary Club. We're going to take a few minutes, and then Holly Blanford has got a special award for us. So I'm not going to introduce you, and just let's run through them. So David, if you're here, we'll start with you.
What I would like to say about the Breakfast Lions Club, first of all, thank you for having us here. And we have 3 projects that we do a year. First one is the Leos at the high school. We sponsor that. Second, we have the Christmas in the park. And third, the Tri-Fest. Tri-Fest is our biggest project, and it's been success. It started in 1988, and we had last year our biggest Tri-Fest in history. This year we had our second best Tri-Fest in history. So thanks for this community for helping us and coming out, because in the city commissioners meeting this week, our mayor and commissioners applauded that how our community has come together in activities and festivals and things like that. And I want to say that I believe that. Since 1988, the Breakfast Lions Club, through the Tri-Fest has grossed $779,800. This year, we grossed $42,300. This year's grants, we had 22 applications, and we give out $42,300 in grants this year alone. So I want to thank the community for helping us out and being a part of our Tri-Fest, that we can be able to help our community out, and we appreciate the people that applied for the grants, that we could be able to help them. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. As Doug mentioned, my name is Daniel Smith, and I'm the president of our Henderson City Lions Club this year. The City Lions Club was incorporated in 1939. It's one of over 48,000 Lions clubs in the nation. There's nearly 1.4 million Lions worldwide, making us one of the largest service organizations in the world. Our motto is "We Serve," and there's several activities that we put on through the year. Our group we're best known for fighting blindness, but we also feed the hungry, support childhood cancer research, provide diabetes awareness and prevention, and care for our environment, and support youth and our youth activities in our communities. 100% of our funds raised go directly back to our community every year, and all of our operating costs are covered by our dues and everything. So last year, we gave back between our grants and our scholarships $63,000 to the community. This was in the form of eye care assistance, grants to nonprofits, scholarships to our high school seniors, and each year we also provide annual vision screenings to Henderson's 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 7th grade students. And none of these things would be possible without support from members of our community to help us put on. So there's 4 main events that we put on each year. Most notably probably is our auction that we've put on for a number of years now. That happens in February. As David mentioned, they put on the Tri-Fest, but we also have a booth there, and we sell the original lemon shake-ups. And then our newest fundraiser is a golf scramble that we had some members step up and want to put on. So we've done well with that the last 2 years. And then our Arts and Crafts Festival, we took it over several years ago, and it's October 4th and 5th this year. So I'd like for you all to come out and support that. Hopefully the weather's nice. And our motto, Lions serve and we give back. And it's really simple, and we love to have you all join us. Real quick, how many Lions members, City Lions members are here? Raise your hand. So just talk to any of us, and we'd be glad to have you join us Tuesday at our meetings. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Steely, and I have the honor this year of being the president of the Henderson Rotary Club and representing our 108 members today. If you are a Rotary member, would you please stand? Thank you so much. The Rotary members that just stood make my job easy. We do have a few big events each year that you have probably heard of or been a part of. Our Rotary Trivia Night, Rotary Field Day, and the Rotary Dictionary Project. The Rotary year just started July 1st, and our international theme this year is the magic of Rotary. Our motto is service above self. We meet on Thursdays at noon at the Henderson County Public Library. If you are interested in being a member, come visit us any Thursday, except today. This is our special edition of Rotary Today. And we thank you all for being here and supporting all civic organizations.
Thank you, Mary. So now's the time for a special presentation, and our friend Holly Blandford is going to make the presentation of the Henderson Hometown Heroes. So, Holly?
Thank you, Doug. All right, well, good afternoon. So when I got the call that I got to present this year's Hometown Hero Award on behalf of the Rotary Club, I was more than excited because this year's Hometown Hero is probably one of the best recipients that the club has chosen in a long time. So my entire life, I've always heard the people around me talk about mentors, always saying how important it is to have a good mentor, someone you trust to show you the ropes. I'm lucky enough, along with so many of you in this room, to call this year's Hometown Hero one of the best mentors I've had along my journey. They're one of the most intentional community servants I've ever met. The love they have for their hometown of Henderson is unmatched. And I can't go without saying they're a whole lot of fun to work with every single day. When I first met this year's recipient, I was at the young age of 21 years old, and I was a senior in college. I was studying public administration, and I needed an internship to graduate. Little did I know this internship would introduce me to one of my favorite people in the whole world. I often describe him using the words one in a million. This year's Hometown Hero learned their love of community and their passion for service from their parents. Having a father that served as the mayor of the city of Henderson for 23 years, this year's recipient had a front row seat to how a city government should run and what matters most, the people. They carried this same attitude into their role with the city when they finally joined the team a number of years later. If you've spent much time with this year's Hometown Hero, you probably know it doesn't take them long to turn a stranger into a friend. I got to witness this firsthand this summer when we spent the month of June working side by side on what was known to the community as the Green River Area Wellness Mission. I can't tell you how many times I witnessed them receive an invitation to whatever state the service member was from so they could go to dinner and spend more time together. But I also witnessed the tear-filled goodbyes when the time came for the service members to head back home. Many of them expressed their gratitude for the efforts this individual made in making sure Henderson felt like home during their 2 weeks. Our 2024 Hometown Hero is someone that makes everyone feel important. They listen more than they speak, and when they do finally speak up, they have a way of captivating their audience, whether it be one person or a group of many. Henderson County Judge Executive Brad Schneider describes this year's recipient by saying they're an effective problem solver. They have a sense of humor that never fails to pop up at just the right time. And he adds, the role they've played in helping the spirit of collaboration in our community is the reason we're currently seeing so much success. Henderson Economic Development Executive Director Missy Vanderpool says, I could add 1,000 things, but I'll say this. His impact goes beyond his words, or his impact goes beyond his projects. He may not see himself as a mentor, but his actions speak louder than his words. He's been a guiding light for me and so many others, helping us achieve the seemingly impossible. So when I tell you that I struggled to write this speech, I was captain of the struggle bus because I thought so many times, how can I captivate what this person means to all of us in just a 2-minute speech? And like a light bulb going off, I got an email from Clay Gillum, the president of the chamber, who offered the perfect explanation of what this year's Hometown Hero means to Henderson. When something good in Henderson appears to have happened by magic, Buzzy Newman is that magic. He works behind the scenes, facilitating conversations, connecting dots, and ensuring that all perspectives are considered. His reward is seeing projects come to life, and he never seeks credit for his accomplishments. Buzzy sits on the Chamber's Downtown Henderson Partnership Committee, often a silent observer, but always willing to share wisdom or loop in the right people. She adds, if there is a will, Buzzy is often the way. Over the last few months, I've had a couple of conversations with Buzzy's wife, Cindy, about this award, and it was during one of those conversations that she said something about Buzzy that stuck with me. She offered, community service is in his blood. It's all he's ever known growing up, and even now into his adult life, it's what drives him. She went on to say with a laugh that she wasn't sure if he'd ever be able to truly stop serving Henderson, no matter the capacity. So when I told Dylan Ward, our assistant city manager, that Buzzy was going to be honored today, he shared with regret that he was going to be out of town with his family. But he asked me to read this in his absence. In terms of leadership, there is no one better than Buzzy Newman. He leads by example and is never afraid to get his hands dirty. Even though I've worked with Buzzy for over 10 years now, I'm still occasionally surprised by his brilliance at being able to come up with new and unique solutions for a complicated problem. If there is a way, Buzzy will find it. He's the definition of a team player, but even more so, he's been gifted to bring people together and motivate them towards a common goal. People do not just work with or for Buzzy Newman. People want to work with Buzzy. His nature draws people in, and he recognizes the importance of collaboration. So I've been in my role as the PR director with the city for almost 2 years now. And to echo what Dylan shared, I wanted to work for the city for several reasons. But at the top of that list was working with Buzzy Newman. As a young person that wants to make an impact in my hometown, I couldn't pick a better person than Buzzy Newman to model my steps after. And so Mayor Steve Austin and Mayor Brad Staten shared similar sentiments when asked about Buzzy, both sharing they believe he's the best city manager in the country and how they've enjoyed their time working alongside them. Our community is lucky to have Buzzy Newman, whether it be as city manager, a board member for a local organization, or as a volunteer. We would not be the same without his leadership or his guidance. So many of us in this room would not be the leaders we are today without him. So before I bring him on stage, I just want to say this, and I'm not going to cry. Thank you, Buzzy. Thank you for your dedication to our team at the city, for making the city a place you want to come to work each day, for always putting Henderson first, and for making our community the best it's ever been. Please join me in congratulating our 2024 Rotary Hometown Hero, Mr. Buzzy Newman.
I'm not real good at speaking. I always forget what I want to say. But the kind words that you had to say are very touching, and I'm somewhat emotional. But everybody in this room I've touched at one point in time in my life. And I just want to say my appreciation for helping our community with your help. And without y'all, I couldn't do my job. Henderson is a great place to live. And walking in today, Joy Marshall's daughter, who decided to come back to Henderson to work, demonstrates what our community is doing to bring our kids back. I know Kate Fopple's another one. And what's exciting to me is in my age group, my age group wanted to get out of Henderson and not come back. That's not what we're seeing today. I look around the crowd, and it's a bunch of 30-year-olds. And the exciting thing that I will say going forward is the city itself and their administrative roles. Henderson is going to go from one age group to another age group within the next 12 months. And it's going to be a bunch of 30-year-olds. Something's running our community. But I will tell you that I have full faith in their ability
and the things that I'm excited to see that they're going to take this community forward. I want to thank all the locals that are developing in our community. They're changing our downtown each and every day. Without them, we would not be where we are. We're fortunate to have I-69 coming through. We've got new industry here, and the only thing I can see with Henderson, it's going forward. And without all of y'all being behind it, we would not be there. Again, thank you. And most of all, I want to thank my family who is here, my sisters, my son, my wife, Cindy, and my eyes of my world is Willie, who is my only grandson, and he came to be here today to see me. And I want to thank my friends Mark and Jamie Mattingly too. So thank y'all very much. And Leslie, I'm sorry that you didn't get the award, because that was what I was told while I was coming for you today. So maybe next year. Thank y'all.
All right, Judge, Mayor, you better have your A game gone, because that's going to be hard to follow. But again, a round of applause for Buzzy Newman, our hometown hero. Real quickly, one more thank you. We are fortunate to have a place to get 215 of our closest friends together for lunch. Pastor Pete Heiss, One Life Church Henderson, thank you very much. A round of applause for them, please. All right, so I worked really hard as your MC to make sure I could do introductions for both of our next speakers. But the next speaker said, just roll the video and we'll see what happens. So first we're going to start with Brad Schneider and the county.
Hi, I'm Brad Schneider, and this is the historic Bowstring Bridge at Sandy Walker's Park. A lot of cool stuff happening at the park. We're going to be grading and paving the gravel road that goes through the park. We're also going to be building some new permanent bathrooms soon, all to enhance the experience for visitors here. But you know, in fact, there's a lot of cool things happening all across Henderson County. And hopefully this video illustrates some of that, and also let you meet the people who are making it happen for Henderson County government. There's a lot of momentum here in Henderson County. You could say we are on the move, and now, so am I.
I enjoy getting to be out in the community, talking to people, encouraging people to come out and vote. Now that we have 7 large vote centers, it's great because people can go to any of the locations depending on where they are within the community that day. We used to have 45 precincts. Recently, in the last year, we worked on consolidating those precincts down to 28. And so it makes things a little bit easier. We strive to have safe and efficient elections. We want the people to have a pleasant experience whenever they come to any of our vote centers.
I wanted to be in law enforcement from a really young age, but I didn't always make the best choices due to a lot of the things that I went through in my childhood and in my teenage years. I've been on the other end, and I know what it's like, so I try to treat people and handle people's complaints, incidents, issues, assaults, wrecks the same way that I would want someone to handle mine, you know, with respect. Now, looking back, I don't think that there's another job that I could do that would give me as much fulfillment that this one has. Because what other job can you do where you can actually save somebody's life? Or, you know, and it's not always sunshine and rainbows. You know, it kind of comes full circle growing up or being a regular citizen and then stepping up and getting into that law enforcement role to where you're taking on the responsibility of, you know, this is my community, it's been my community, and now it's my job to protect that community and not just my house or my neighbor's house. But it's nice to know that I can be that person to each person in this town. You know, it gives you a sense of pride that, you know, you grew up here, you were raised here, you know these streets, you know these buildings. a lot of the people. And our hometown is a really great place to raise a family, and it's a really good town. To me, I don't want to let anybody down. I want to leave them knowing that I did my job to the best of my ability, and I want to be professional and fair at the same time.
I've been with Henderson County for just over 6 years. I've been on transports for about 4. Henderson County is one of the federal holds. The marshals would reach out to us and tell us, that they've got some inmates that need to either be relocated or picked up, new arrests off the streets. There's only certain county jails in the state that run those types of programs. Those programs will help those inmates lessen their sentence, or it might be something that the judge requires them to do before they're released and back into society. So when we get there, the facility is ready for us, and all we need to do is generally either fill out a body receipt or a remand to get our inmate, make sure that they're patted down, shackled up, secure them in the vehicle, and head on back to the jail. When you get back to the Sally Port with inmates in the vehicle, we would secure our equipment, and then we would proceed to getting the inmates out of the vehicle. And this is also kind of a newer development with our facility, is we have a body scanner now. We would take them into that room where they would get searched out, put them through the body scanner, and then from there, they would go to booking, and booking would get them booked into the facility. We always just try to assume that they're all just as dangerous as the rest and just continue on, treat every single one of them exactly the same.
So I've been doing this job for almost 19 years. The only one that does the job, so I do answer all my own calls, permitting, plan review, inspections, investigating complaints on public nuisance properties. A lot of people make the comment, that when you live in the county, you can do whatever you want, but our county has zoning ordinance and public nuisance ordinance. We don't expect people to manicure like a golf course, but just keep the property mowed, keep the trash put up, be a good neighbor. So when I do my inspections, I look for things that code requires and make sure that the builder's building it to code, the way the homeowner and consumer gets nice, safe structure that's going to last them, hopefully their lifetime. I like to give everybody good news all the time. Sometimes it's my job is to be bearer of bad news. With Brad building in Henderson, creating a lot of new high-paying jobs, that a few other industries, expand. Hopefully we'll help more people be able to afford nice new homes. And the last month, we had 3 new homes for the month. They're on average over $500,000 a piece for the estimated cost of construction. Some new houses built really stimulates the economy.
Well, when I interviewed, I was told that they hadn't had a female driver or road department person in 16 years. I enjoy my job. I work for the state road department, and now I'm with the county. I've been here for 2.5 years, and this is by far the best job I think I've ever had. I'm the only female on the road department that drives a truck, but all the guys have pretty much accepted me for who I am, and we all get along. And I mostly, haul dirt for Mike. We usually ditch or clean out around culverts. There are times when I haul rock to spread on gravel roads. We've put in pipes. We've poured concrete. We've replaced gutters. We've hung up a sign down at the farmer's market. We kind of just do a little bit of everything. We're Jack and Jills of all trades. So I'm not always in a truck. Guys they're funny because, they get mad and yell and whatever, and then they're over it. It's a lot different than working with a bunch of women.
The role of EMA is we're pretty much a liaison between local, regional, state, and federal resources.
assist us with the overhead management of a scene, whether we're talking about, you know, a search and rescue operation, you know, tornado aftermath, and we've even helped with local law enforcement when they get people that run off. So we put drones up to help look for fugitives and some of these manhunt and things like that. It's a very good tool to have, and it's one of those things that it's hard to do without it. Once you get it, it's kind of like cell phone. You know, what did we do all those years without cell phones? And then now that we've got them, what do we do without them? We started creating last year a plan that is being adopted by the state to be the actual drone program for the entire state of Kentucky, coming right out of Henderson. So pretty proud about that. All of that adds up to trying to be as ready as we can to serve Henderson and the area when we need it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So we know that, and we try to stay on top of it.
The best thing about working at the county attorney's office is working with all the other departments of the county. From day to day, I get to work with the clerk's office, sheriff's office, codes enforcement, the third floor folks, road department. Seems like every day is a new challenge with something to take care of and handle on behalf of the county. Biggest focus that we have is that we want to be firm but fair when we come to prosecution and finding what justice is. You know, of course, we prosecute crimes in district court up until the preliminary hearing before they pass on the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. But we do so much more. The things that the county attorney's office deal with on a day-to-day basis in that division affects folks going through a ton of problems. One of the great benefits I get from this job is to be able to help property owners of Henderson County. When someone falls behind on their taxes, they risk a third-party purchaser coming in, buying those taxes and charging them significant fees. My office works right now with about 75 people or so day-to-day, taking payments, protecting that property from any enforcement by those folks, to protect the property owner and keep their property. In fiscal year 24, just with payment plans alone, I think our office was able to collect almost $240,000. I'm pleased to report that all three divisions of the county attorney's office are firing on all cylinders. The great thing about it is that no matter at what point you are or who you are, the county attorney's office is probably somehow involved in your life, in your family's life, in your neighbor's life.
Hey, that was pretty cool, wasn't it? I really appreciate our team members at Henderson County government. They're the ones that keep the momentum going and protect and aid our citizens every day. Now, we're almost done. Just a few more comments from a friend of mine. He's really good looking, really smart. I think you'll love him. In the meantime, we're on the move. I gotta go. Were you expecting somebody else?
Thank you, Doug. You know, state of county addresses are usually supposed to be about hard numbers, facts, graphs, charts, and I want to give you a little bit of red meat, but I appreciate you letting me take the time to highlight our people at county government, because I'm sure all of you agree with me that what's terrific about our community is our people. And even in an organization of decent size like county government, our culture and the way we treat each other and the way we treat the people of our community is much more important than hard facts, figures, strategies. Chase, you know, they say culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? So thanks for that. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting. Thank you all for being here. And I think we can all agree, and most people say, that there are two primary functions of local governments, two basic missions. First is the provision in an effective and efficient way of those basic services that citizens cannot do for themselves. And it includes law enforcement, public safety, transportation infrastructure, record keeping, and elections. And we do those so well. And you just met a handful of the nearly 200 team members we have at the county who perform this work every single day. I am so proud of them. They do it with professionalism, pride. Many of them are here today, and I'm so glad to see them. If you work for the county in any capacity, please stand up. Let's give them a huge round of applause. Their work is a reflection of their leadership, and many of those leaders are with us today. They introduced some, but I want to do it again just to make sure that they truly understand how much we respect them. The elected officials here include County Attorney Steve Gold, County Clerk Renisa Abner, Coroner Bruce Farmer, our County Engineer Nick Stallings, and Jailer Bruce Todd and Sheriff Chip Stoffer couldn't be here today. They're on vacation, but they did send their regards, and I'm glad members of their departments are here representing them. And we really appreciate all that you do. Now, there's lots of great things going on in all those departments, too many to list for the time I have, but I do want to say that the highlights include some really cool things. Right off the top of my head, asphalt, blacktop. We put in 15 miles of blacktop last year. We're going to put in 15 more this year. We have more than $1 million in blacktop money for the 5th straight year in a row, and if you live out in the county, understand how effective it is to actually have safe roads to drive on, and including in the 15 miles we're putting asphalt down on what has historically been county gravel roads out in the county. So it's really a life changer for some of those people too. Our jail has got new body scanners, as you saw in that video. It's really important for their safety and the safety of inmates. Our sheriff's department has bought more than 10 flock cameras, which will help us catch bad guys, including illegal dumpers, which is such a challenge in this county. And our clerk's department, upgrading more of their election equipment as well as storage equipment to make it even more efficient and accurate in all that they do. And please do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor and get on Facebook and look up the account of Christina Buckman. Christina Buckman. She has posted a TikTok video there, viewed more than 180,000 times, of a gentleman in Henderson County, Texas, trying to find his divorce decree so that he can remarry his ex. And he is attempting to call the clerk's office in Henderson County, Texas, but because he's a knucklehead, he ends up calling Henderson County, Kentucky. And our Tanya Wilson, who's a superstar, answers that call. And for the next 5 to 10 minutes, hilarity ensues as he tries to explain or understand what's happening. And she is so unflappable, so professional, so nice to this absolute redneck. It'll make you so proud. Christina Buckman, do yourself a favor, go see it. And if you do it right now and ignore the rest of what I have to say, I wouldn't blame you, because I'd be doing the same thing. So that's our first mission, basic services. The second part of our mission is being able to use our resources to take advantage of economic development opportunities when they arrive, and also help those organizations in our community that provide the services that we can't, but that we need. And our fiscal court has been very active in both of those aspects of that part of our mission. If you don't mind, Chase, first of all, I'm going to start off with the big one, I-69. You all know it very well at this point. That's the interchange at 41 that you can drive on a part of now. It's a generational project. It's so exciting to see. Obviously, the county and the city, people around the region have worked a lot of hours, spent a lot of money advocating for this, and to actually see it happening is really quite gratifying for me and everybody else who's been so involved in that. This is a generational project that will impact our community for a century and help the young people and other people give good reason to come back because of what it's going to spur on. Chase, you can go to the next one. Just had a great economic development announcement from Hydro at our beautiful Henderson County Riverport. They announced that they're going to invest $84 million in their facility, creating 32 new jobs at an average of $28 an hour. It's fantastic, and those are the kind of jobs we're looking for. Good wages, good companies. Chase, the next one, please. We're following the construction of the Henderson County Mine, which is well underway. As you recall, this is a $32 million project, creating 206 new jobs at $34.50 an hour average. And I want to give a lot of kudos and thanks to a team in Henderson Economic Development led by Missy Vanderpool and Whitney Risley and Kate Pride and Stephanie Lucas, who helped bring these last two to fruition, worked really hard with the state to get incentives done. The county offered more than $1.2 million in incentives for these two projects, both in cash and transportation infrastructure commitments. It's going to return many, many times that. I think Missy just quoted a stat about possible economic impact just from the mine alone. utilizing numbers that economic developers use to track how the dollars fold over in our community from something like this. The annual economic impact of the mine in our region is going to be $600 million a year. It's incredible. Really great to see. We're also thinking of the future, Chase. If you go to the next one, it may be hard to understand what this is, but this is the recently completed million-square-foot pad at 4-Star Industrial Park. It is the largest build-ready pad in the entire state. For perspective, the building in the upper left-hand corner is Columbia Sportswear, which is no small facility itself, but it dwarfs Columbia, this new pad does. And we think it's going to be not too very long before that is occupied by a large industry. Again, it's the largest one in the state, and I'm sure Missy's can't wait to market it to anyone who will want to come and visit. Next slide, please. Another big one that touches both economic development and quality of life. Connection Connect through Kenergy, building out the fiber to the home broadband internet network in Henderson County. We recently reached an agreement in principle with Kenergy to provide $4 million towards incentivizing the completion of this project by the end of this fiscal year. You can see there's a little over 8,300 homes that are Kenergy customers in this county. Our goal is to get them all served, have the availability of this service by the end of December. As of today, I'd say that Kenergy's about halfway through that 8,300. I think they got a great shot at completing everything by the end of the year. Whatever percentage of that total they complete, that's the percentage of the $4 million they get. But I guarantee you that $4 million is making sure that this happens. And out in the county, especially in rural areas, this is as life-changing as anything we've done recently for county residents. Next slide, Chase. In the last year, we've committed more than $1 million to nonprofit organizations, not the least of which are volunteer fire departments. There are 10 in the county, including the City County Rescue Squad as well, and we supported them to the tune of more than $700,000 in contributions for their efforts. They are truly heroes in this county. Just today, as I was coming to work, I heard about an accident, a single-car accident, Highway 1078 at Race Creek, a father and 2 young children, a single-car accident. The car went into Race Creek. Everybody was badly hurt. That little girl, 10-year-old little girl, crawled through the wreckage to get a phone and call 911, and responders from Basket and Spotsville were among the first on the scene. Imagine your normal Thursday morning going to work, but you have to put everything on hold to go to a scene like that and see those horrific injuries. Those volunteers do that every single day, seemingly, and that's why it's so important that we support them. That $700,000 is a drop in the bucket to what we really like to do. The other $300,000 is for nonprofits that span the spectrum from drug rehabilitation to the Handy Fest, all things that benefit our community in one way or the other. Next slide, please. You've heard it many times today about our cooperation with the city, and it is truly what is helping us do so much more over the last several years. I've lived here since 1988, but as Chase said, somebody who's lived here longer than I have, it's as good as he's seen it. And cooperation between cities and counties is not the norm in the state of Kentucky. We, however, have a special thing going. It's not even really the norm in the history of Henderson County, to be honest. But now it's different. And as an example of that, example of our fiscal court's commitment to projects that are in the city but help us all, included the lights for the sports complex, $1 million+ for those lights. We know that was very important, the completion of phase 1, and we wanted to help, and we did. And that's going to impact our entire community in positive ways. Chase? Another example is helping with economic development projects that are not only in the city limits, but right downtown, a spot in the city that past fiscal courts might have said, well, it's really not our game, not our circus, you guys take it. But we know we had to help because these things help us all, including economic development opportunities like Henderson County Distilling. Andrew and Meredith Powell, owners, very proud of them. We committed $350,000 towards making sure they get going and give us a cool new attraction in downtown. Next, Chase. We've also set aside $2.5 million to potentially help the conference center at Audubon State Park, potentially. And when that is completed, if it's completed, and if we can help, it'll truly be a benefit to our community, especially places you need a large crowd. And now we're losing those kind of events over the Ritter Evansville. Maybe they can stay at home. And as well, it might attract a couple new hotels, and we need those too. So we're willing to help there. final approval of fiscal court, we can pitch in. I think that's it, Chase. I'll leave you with this. I really truly appreciate our fiscal court. We have one of the best groups of elected officials at the county level we have in all of Kentucky. And they're thoughtful, they get the big picture, they really consider the greater good, and they also do their homework. And I want to say thank you to each of them, Magistrate Starks, Magistrate Putman, Magistrate Southard, and I know Taylor Tompkins and Keith Berry feel the same way. It's a pleasure to work with you gentlemen. We're doing great things in this community, and you should be proud of your service. Thank you very much. And with that, I wish I had a bike to ride out on. It would be funny. But I'm going to turn it over to the mayor. And again, thank you very much, and I appreciate the Chamber of Commerce for hosting.
Good job. Judge, well done. I appreciate that. And like I said, I worked really hard to find a good introduction, so I get to give it as a postduction, I guess is what it'd be. But what I'll tell you about both the mayor and the judge, as I did my research and have gotten to know them over the last several years, good people trying to do the right thing for the right reason. And I hope we celebrate that today. And we're only halfway there. Judge, you got yours done, but the mayor's going to tell you about the city. But two guys that love their families, new grandbabies, children growing up over here. We had to talk about that. But they live here, they work here. It's their life here. So celebrate them. When Mayor Staten gets done, we're going to hear from Clay Gillum to close this out. But my work here is done. Thank you very much for being a great crowd. I appreciate you. And no further ado, Mayor Brad Staten.
Thank you, thank you. We'll try to get through this very quickly and try to get us out by 1 o'clock, actually. First of all, round of applause for Brad Schneider and the county. It was a heck of a good presentation, as always. We don't draw straws. We trade back and forth each year as to who gets to go first and second. And this is the first time I've gone second after Brad, and immediately regretting the fact that I don't go first every time. I wanted to also, as you ended your presentation, I want to start mine by thanking our city commission, Austin Bowles, Rodney Thomas, Robert Pruitt, Nick Witt, are four wonderful, wonderful city commissioners. We function as a body of 5 people with equal votes, and so everything that you see come out of the city doesn't just come through the mayor or the city manager. It actually comes through the 5 of us from a voting standpoint, and I certainly could not serve the city without the other 4 of them serving alongside me, and it's a great group to be a part of. So thank you all very much for serving on the city commission. Wanted to thank my wife and my mother and my daughter and my son, who all chose to come today and listen to us talk about the city and county. When you're talking about building that underbelly of people who are going to come back to Henderson, it's so very important that we communicate with kids of all ages about what we're doing, why we care about them, and what we're doing to try to help. Wanted to thank our hometown hero, Buzzy Newman. Buzzy, you're a heck of a great city manager. I actually included a cuss word in my comment about you in terms of you're the best bleep city manager in the entire world. And I'm thankful to Holly Blanford for not including that, so my kids didn't have to hear me cuss. And I wanted to thank Holly Blanford for putting together this presentation. She does such a good job with the audio and visual work, and thank you so much. So we're going to get right into it and talk about our city at work. So our city at, if you would, please change the slide. Our city at work, this portion I just wanted to highlight and allow some of our department heads to also highlight some of the things that are going on at the city. So the first department that I want to talk about is Public Works. Public Works, there's 2 things I wanted to highlight there. First of all, last year stood up on stage and we talked about trash cans. You guys remember that? A lot of angry people about this transition over to trash cans, and we're here a year later. But the most important thing that I wanted to discuss is the reason we made that switch, the biggest reason we made that switch, was because of the health and safety of our sanitation workers. So just to kind of give you an idea about how this has had such a positive impact, in 2020 we had 5, 2021 7, 2022 13 injury instances from the actual collection of trash on our sanitation workers. The last 2 years we've had 2 apiece since we've implemented that. And so it's really made that job a much better one, and it's made a lot of parts of our city, frankly, just much more beautiful on trash day. And so I'm very happy about that. And then also to echo some of the judges' comments about roads, roads are very important to us in the city, and we made some budgetary changes this year. So starting this year and for the next 5 fiscal years in a row, we are going to increase the amount of money that we spend taking care of our roads by 10% and compound that every single year so that inflation does not eat away at our ability to do one of our main and core functions, and that's take care of our roads and make sure that we have a safe place to travel here in Henderson. Next up, we're going to hear from our Parks and Recreations Director, Trey Stevens, on a couple of things going on in our Parks Department.
So I'm excited to announce that the City of Henderson is undergoing and starting the Parks Master Plan. This plan will let the city look at the parks and programs that we have that the city, the county, and the surrounding community that our citizens use. Once this plan is completed, it'll give us a guide and a direction for the parks and programs that we need, where we want them, and how to get there and how to get them constructed and how to get them operating. So with this all in place, it'll set Henderson Parks and Recreation up for the next 5, 10, 15, and even 20 years, providing the citizens with programs, activities, and parks that they can utilize, their children can utilize, and that best suits our community.
All right, thank you, Trace. That was a good job. Next up, we're going to talk about 911 services here in town. So we have a very exciting project going on. Our 911 services team, headed up by Jordan Webb, they are implementing a new CAD system. And the reason that's important for our community is it's going to allow us some capabilities that we don't currently have or that aren't fully there in terms of being able to accept and send text messages to and from 911. They can accept video on 911. And one of the most interesting things that the new CAD system that we're bringing in is going to bring to the city is that it's going to be improving the way that we track our responders. And so it should have the ability to locate the responder that's closest to the incident in question and automatically alert that person to go to that spot without it having to go through so many layers, which will improve our response time and our response methodology. Next up, we're going to hear from Holly Blanford, our PR director, to talk about some PR stuff going on in the city.
Last year, we started just that with our youngest generation, our local students. The creation of the City Junior Ambassador Program is allowing our high school juniors and seniors to experience their city government like never before. The city has also expanded upon the Mock City Government Program, where we invite every 5th grader in Henderson County to visit the city building and learn how to successfully run a city commission meeting. The city is devoted to inspiring our future leaders, and we can't wait to see the impacts they have on our community.
All right, thank you, Ms. Holly. Next up, I want to talk about a little bit going on with our police department. So first of all, if you would, please give a resounding applause for, as of 2 weeks ago, our new police chief, Mr. Billy Bolin. If you listen to our new chief, Chief Bolin, he will tell you that he came into a department that was, not that he thought it was a bad department to begin with, but it exceeded his expectations. And so it was very easy for him to come in and hit the ground running because of the groundwork that was laid by our previous chief, Sean McKinney, and chiefs before him. At our police department, if you remember last year, one of the challenges we talked about was staffing at our police department. So staffing was a real issue coming out of COVID. It was really hard to get people excited about wanting to go into careers in law enforcement. We've done a number of things over the last couple of years to make the job better paid, better benefits, and getting into the schools and teaching kids about the joys of being in law enforcement. Those things, among an improving environment, has got us to where we are only 2 or 3 officers away from being at full complement and being able to fully service the city and do everything we want to do from not just a response, but from a preventative, from the preventative side. And to illustrate how the winds are changing there with the police department, we have a new PSO, or public safety officer position, that we're adding to the police department this year. And I talked to Chief Bolin yesterday and this morning. We received 41 applicants for that one job. And so our labor pools are growing, and we can tell they're doing a great job at the police department. One of the other things I wanted to highlight was the victims advocate position. So this year, something new that we're doing is the police department is adding a victims advocate position to our police force. In this victims advocate position, what it's going to do is, if you're a victim of domestic violence or other crimes, this person is going to be in charge of the follow-up side, which we've always done a good job at follow-up, and it's not that we haven't, but we're going to coordinate that in such a way that we're really taking care of the people in this community who are victims of crime and their needs on a follow-up type basis from our police department. So I applaud the work that you all are doing there, sir. Next up, we're going to hear from Chief Josh Dixon from the fire department.
Here at the Henderson Fire Department, we value teamwork, community engagement, and excellence in service. We prioritize building strong relationships with our county fire departments, Henderson County schools, and our local businesses. The relationships with our county fire departments ensures teamwork and collaboration in emergency response. And our partnership with our school system enables the teaching of fire and life safety to our students. Additionally, the engagement with the local businesses allows for community care, problem solving, and risk management at elite level. And maintaining these relationships reflects our commitment to serving and protecting our community.
Thank you, Chief. Lots of good things going on at the fire department. I tell you what, the situation we got into with Ellis Park earlier on this year for opening day, and just the cooperation from the volunteer fire departments all over the county, plus the city fire department and the folks at Ellis Park and the city and county and everybody delivering 65,000 gallons of water to them on July 4th, so that they only had to miss one day and open up on July 5th. It was a monumental feat and speaks wonders to the collaboration that goes on between our fire departments and between our city and county. Henderson Water Utility, if they are not helping us land a huge development like Pratt, which they were very instrumental in doing, if they're not involved in saving a company that might have left the community, if they're not involved in economic development and doing wonders, they are involved in making sure that our water quality here in Henderson is absolutely top-notch. Some of the things that I want to point out about the water department and our water quality, when the state encounters water departments that have issues, they send them to Henderson. And a lot of that stemmed from some incidents that we went through back in 2019 and 2020 with the PFAS incident. I want to just get that word out there because it's worth discussing. They took measures. They've been measuring for PFAS in our water system for over 10 years. We have always been under the legal limits. And when we were going through the situation back in 2019, 2020, water quality was at the front of mind for us. So not only did we make sure that we remained in compliance, but we wanted to make sure that we were on the cutting edge of exceeding that compliance, because we knew that those levels were going to change. So the water department started testing water 6 times more frequently. They started using a lot of what's called powder activated carbon to add an extra filter to our water so that we can deliver some of the safest water to our end-use customers. And today, I'm happy to report that our water quality is just as good, if not better, than it's ever been in Henderson County. And I appreciate the work that our water department is doing to make sure of that. We appreciate it. Next up, we're going to hear from Brad Bickett, the General Manager of HMP&L.
So here at Henderson Municipal Power and Light, we've been providing broadband, data, and voice services over fiber for about 25 years to businesses in our community. We're really excited to begin offering this fiber internet to all the residents
right, thank you, Brad. If you noticed when you walked in your seats, there was a flyer from HMP&L. It's got a barcode on it, or a QR code. Excuse me, I'm older than the QR code technology. It's got a QR code on there. If you scan that QR code and want to learn more about the fiber rollout, or if you want to sign up to be a customer of HMP&L's fiber rollout, take those with you and make sure that you get on and learn the latest and greatest about which territories they are rolling out in. And we are certainly excited to offer an alternative internet source of high quality and decent pricing for the city of Henderson. So now, if you are a team member of Henderson or one of our partner utilities, please stand. I want everybody to give them a huge round of applause, because these are the people who do the work. These are the people who make it happen for you, and we certainly do appreciate it. I'm going to talk about a couple of challenges going on in the community. The first challenge that I wanted to highlight is homelessness. Homelessness is something that's not an easy topic to discuss, and in some cases it causes people to feel differently. You know, some people want to make sure that homelessness is not visible to them, or that their security is well taken care of. Some people want to make sure that we are helping the people in Henderson who are experiencing or about to experience homelessness. And so I wanted to let you know a couple of things that are going on in the city. And the first thing is, in partnership with the county, which is a theme all over the place these days. The county and the city have partnered together along with the Homeless Coalition to hire a homeless case manager here in Henderson, Kentucky. And that homeless case manager is through the Daniel Patino Shelter. Their job is going to be to get to know the people who are experiencing or are on the verge of experiencing homelessness in the community, match them up with resources and education to get them on a path toward permanent housing. We also, on the safety side of things, this year the city passed a curfew for all of our parks that are located in residential areas, to make sure that there are no people in those parks that are unidentified or that shouldn't be there after a certain time of night. We have gone as far as there are two organizations in the community that are doing wonderful things. This picture up here is actually from an organization in the community called Elevate. Elevate is doing a huge project off of Sand Lane in terms of giving transitional housing to people with disabilities who have barriers for living alone. Which is going to have an impact on homelessness. It's a $15 million project paid for by Kentucky Housing. It's going to break ground later this fall, and they are going to provide services that include mental health, mental well-being, addiction recovery type things, and life skills and things of that nature, so that people who are on the verge of experiencing homelessness or people with disabilities can learn to live on their own and chart a path forward. Also, I wanted to point out that Harbor House is looking at expanding from 22 to 48 beds. They've raised quite a bit of money. They've received grants from the city and county and are a finalist for a couple of other grant programs. If you're interested in helping them expand their bed capacity, please do consider giving them some of your time and resources and money to help accomplish that feat. Another challenge in our community, with great things come great responsibilities. Construction is certainly a challenge. There's some great things going on in the community. There's also some challenges in terms of getting around right now. And so what I wanted to do is kind of give you an update on where we're at timing-wise. On the roundabouts, which we talk about all the time. And the reason we talk about all the time is not because we're trying to cheer them on. It's because we're trying to educate you and the people in the community, because it's something that the state is bringing to our community, and we have adopted an education awareness standpoint. So these two that are closest to us, the west side of the interstate, they're going to be opening up one lane, single lane, this weekend. And then they are going to, on the east side of that, a couple of months later, that teardrop roundabout is going to open up later this fall. And then by the end of the year, those should be fully functional. And we're going to have people from the city out there, from the police department and other areas, looking at how they're functioning when we start using them, to make sure that what it looks like on paper from the engineers is translating over to what we see in real life. On 2084, the road that runs beside Palmer's, you've seen it's already 2 ways. Sometime over the next year, and by the end of next year, they're going to start working on taking out some exiting capabilities that we have there now. So if you're traveling north on 2084, everybody knows the big loop exit that goes toward Evansville, that is going to come out. Also, when you're traveling south on the interstate, just past Zion Road, you'll no longer have the opportunity to exit onto 2084. That is also going to come out as part of the project. And so we want you to know what's going to be going on next year. That's going to become some land that we can do something else with as part of this, but that is also part of the construction project. When you look at the 60 interchange, the new I-69 corridor that's going to come in is going to connect over to 60. That 60 interchange should be done by the end of next year. When it's done, they will open up that interchange to Highway 60, but you will be forced to exit there. And the rest of it that's going to connect over to the bridge will not open until the bridge is completed sometime 5 to 7 years down the road. And then on the Clay Street Bridge and Airline Bridge, so next year, something that's not on your radar probably, is if you go Airline Road near the county fairgrounds, the overpass bridge is going to need to be overhauled. And the Clay Street Bridge is also going to have to be addressed. We did some emergency, the state did some emergency repair work. They got on it when we talked to them about it, so it's open now. Both of those bridges are most likely going to be shut down toward the end of spring of next year, with the anticipation of trying to get them done by August the 1st. Because we talked about it, is it more valuable to have one bridge shut down and then the other one, or is it more valuable to have them shut down during school? And we are going with the during school model, have them both shut down during school, and then we're going to work from now until then to make sure that the detouring in those areas are as good as they can be, considering the construction that's going to happen. Also on Wathen Lane, we're still on pace to have that completed by the end of the year. If you'll change slides, one other construction project that we're in the infancy of looking at that you probably know a little bit about is if you go to Wathen Lane. Right now, it's only, if you're traveling east on 60, you can only go north on Wathen Lane. We are looking at planning a project that potentially would extend Wathen Lane southward. It would then elbow over to the new corridor for I-69 that travels through there, provide about 2 miles of frontage, and then connect to the backside of Barrett Boulevard. What it does is it gives us a lot of connectivity through there that's very important, especially when we're adding housing, 300 houses over here off of Barrett Boulevard, to make sure that we can accommodate all the needs of the people who live there and who will live there. And it also, in the red area, is going to create almost 200 acres of commercial development, retail development property. Going on to our financial position, I'm going to burn through this one pretty quick. Just want to talk about taxes. So if we go to the next slide, our occupational tax rate is one of the lowest in the state. We have not touched it for a few years. We did not touch it last year. It is the same as it was last year. Next slide. Property taxes. We talked about this last year. With our property taxes, we had a major cut about 7 years ago. And since then, we have either left it the same or lowered it more since that point in time. And so today, our property taxes are lower than they were 10 years ago. Property tax rates are lower than they were 10 years ago here in the city of Henderson. And that's something that we're keeping an eye on and trying to improve. With our personal property taxes, we, last year, just so you know, and it's important for me to tell you this because we're going to talk about a couple of projects that are going on, and I want you to know that we didn't raise your taxes to pay for these. On our personal property taxes, we actually cut them by nearly 10%. It doesn't show on this graph because it goes through 2022, but last year we had about a 10% cut in personal property taxes. And if you go to the next slide, our year-end reserves continue to trend in a positive direction. I want to explain this because sometimes when people see your reserves go up, they think, wow, you're overtaxing us. You're taking all our money. You need to give some of it back. You need to cut taxes more, right? That's the first thing that we all think of. But I do want to explain that we have a sports complex that we long since have paid for through budgeting techniques. The municipal golf course, when we changed from getting rid of the municipal golf course and supporting the one out in Wolf Hills, we are actually today saving more than $350,000 a year